Okay, so welcome again in our subject by Econ 2122 with a descriptive title Applied Economics. So we are in week 6. So the objective of this topic at the end of this lesson, the students should be able to define market structure, describe the characteristics and distinguish the features of the market structures like perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly, and give the significance or importance of market structure. So we already finished the topic of the principles of demand and supply. So now we are in the market structures in which sellers can operate. So each structure will be described in terms of the nature of the product being sold, the number of buyers and sellers in the market, and the ease of entering and exiting the market. So here our focus is the product being sold. So the descriptive or the description of the product and the demand or the number of buyers and seller in the market, and the entrance and exit of the business. So here, market structures. So in market structure, there is competition or rivalry among various sellers in the market. So that's why there is competition. So I know you are familiar with the word competition. So in our daily life, we encounter competition. So in our school, there is a competition, example in Quiz Bee, or we have sports fest, or any competition like in Linggo ng Wika, or in singing contest. Okay. Another example here of competition is, okay, in example, Miss World, Miss Universe, or in competition of basketball. And then, so in the market, it is a situation of diffuse or impersonal competition among sellers who compete to sell their goods among buyers who use their purchasing power to acquire the available goods in the market. So here, when you say market, it is considered as an agent. So the market is in the center wherein it involves buyers and sellers. So wherein the sellers, all sellers are competing each other in order to get the attention of the buyers. So in which the buyers use their purchasing power to acquire the available goods in the market. So if there are more sellers than buyers, so the buyers has a purchasing power to demand to the seller. That's why in our law of demand, so if there are many sellers than the buyers, or there are many demands, so there are many buyers, sellers compared to buyers. So the buyers can use their purchasing power to demand to lower the prices. So therefore, seller may reduce or to lower their prices so that the buyers will avail of their products. So because of the demand and supply, and using the purchasing power of the buyers or the competition of the sellers, there is a market structure wherein it is a varying degree of competition in the market, which depends on the factors based on the different factors. Okay, so these are the bases of competition in the market. So first is the number and size of buyers and sellers. So is it there are more buyers than sellers, or there are more sellers than buyers? Another factor is similarity or type of product bought and sold. So is it homogeneous product or is it heterogeneous product? Homo means similar or differentiate, or heterogeneous or differentiated product. Another factor is degree of mobility of resources. And then the exit and the entrance or entry and exit of firms and input owners. And then the last factor is the degree of knowledge of economic agents regarding the prices, the cost, the demand, and supply conditions. So these are the factors in the degree of the competition in the market. So based on the market structures. So there are 4 market structures that we have. First is the perfect competition. Second is monopolistic competition. And we also have oligopoly competition or oligopoly structure, and then the monopoly. So on this side, we have the perfect competition. So there is 2 competition. First is the perfect competition and the imperfect competition. So under the imperfect competition is the monopolistic, oligopoly, and monopoly. So based on this illustration, in perfect competition, so here in this arrow, it is measures the most competitive side. So the perfect competition is the most competitive side, and the monopolistic is on the middle side, the oligopoly, and going to the least competitive, which is the monopoly. So this illustration simply explain the basis or the level of competition. In perfect competition, most products and also the sellers are competitive, most competitive in perfect competition. And monopoly is the least competitive. So here, the monopolistic and oligopoly is on the middle part or side. So they can be quite competitive and they are quite competitive. Okay, so first we will discuss perfect competition. So I just give you a simple explanation or basis of a product or a business which is considered as perfect or pure competition. So here, there are different 4 bases or characteristics that can explain the perfect or pure competition. So first, in terms of number of firms. In perfect or pure competition, it is very large number. There are very large number of firms. It composed of a large number of firms. And then, in terms of price making abilities of individual firms, each firm is small that changes in its own output do not affect market price. So firms are price takers. So they are small. So they have their own choice in terms of changing, which is not affect their market price. So they have an option whether to increase their price or they can decrease their price. So they are considered as price takers. Also, in terms of type of product, firms all produce identical products with no differentiation. So it means identical, similar, they selling, this company or business is selling selling similar or identical products. Take note, in pure perfect competition, there are very large number of firms. So they're composed of many firms or businesses engaged in perfect or join in perfect competition. And then firms are price takers. And then, or they have the option to change their prices or their output. And then their products or their output is identical, or they selling similar product. Then last, in terms of entry barriers, in pure or perfect competition, it is completely free entry and exit from the industry. No barriers to entry. So if you want to sell your product, so there's no one, or it means you are open. Your product is open to the market. There's no restriction. So example of this, so here, this is an explanation of perfect competition. So it involves sellers, wherein the market is the mediating or the agent between the sellers and the buyers. So the sellers and buyers are dealing in this in the market, wherein there is buying and selling mechanism. And in perfect competition, there is no restriction. That's why there's open to entrance and exit. So if you want to sell, example, what kind of product? You want to sell your beauty product, so you are open to the market. And then there's an absence of direct competition, so based on the illustration. Then the sellers, most of the products of the sellers are identical or similar. At the same time, since their product is similar, so same as other prices, still same also. It is similar. So if one seller sell their product in at a price of 10 pesos, the other seller will sell also at 10 pesos. So there is perfect or pure competition. So example of this is in the market, wherein it involves many sellers and buyers. So, but then if you see, there is one line that they sell similar products. So therefore, the seller has no choice but they need to compete with their other sellers. So that's why in a perfect competition, there it involves in Tagalog tawadan. Manang walang tawad, may tawad. Okay? So except for those seller that they have their own suki. Okay, so but then here in this picture, it simply shows that there is perfect competition, wherein the buyer have the power to request to the seller to lower their prices, or they can ask for their dealing price. Okay, so this is an example of perfect competition. So here, example here, the agricultural markets. And then example another is the free software, the street food vendors. So we're in, they have they selling similar or identical products. Okay, then for imperfect competition. So from the word imperfect, so there is limit in terms of competition. Okay, so here it composed again of monopoly, monopolistic competence or competition, and oligopoly. So first we'll have the monopolistic competition. So in monopolistic competition, there's fairly large number of firms. So same with perfect or pure competition, there's also large number of firms. And in terms of price making abilities of individual firms, firms are small relative to the industry, what type of industry they have. Then the meaning changes in one firm's output and have only a slight impact on the market price. And then in terms of the type of the products are slightly differentiated. So compared to perfect competition wherein they sell identical or similar product. So there is no differentiation. While in monopolistic competition, they're slightly differentiated. And that's why they are competing in terms of they exert more effort in terms of branding, creating their own brands to be differentiated to other seller, and they exert more effort in terms of advertising and the promotion. So they exert more effort in creating their own product to be differentiated to other products or their other competitors. Okay. And then in terms of entry barriers, in monopolistic competition, there's limited barriers to entry. Firms can enter or leave easily. So example of monopolistic competition is the Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. So they sell similar product, but then they create their own differentiation. And then same with Colgate. With Colgate Close Up, wherein and other products in the supermarket or grocery, you can find it in the grocery or supermarket, wherein they sell similar product but there is differentiation. So the first example, the Colgate offers with a unique variety of unique what do you call this unique promotion compared to Close Up. Example, the Colgate will offer for those who want to be a more or most whiter teeth, for example. Or for Close Up, they have their own marketing strategy in terms of promotion. Okay, or they create their own niche or target or small market. So here, so this is an example of monopolistic competition. And then also different fast food chain that we have, they sell quite similar products but with the unique or differentiate, or there is a uniqueness or differentiated products. They are considered in the similar industry but offer quite different in terms of product. or they create their own product differentiation also. So Jollibee, Burger King, KFC, okay, they are considered as fast food chain, and they are big companies. Okay, any questions sa monopolistic competition? So, naintindihan niyo po ba ang difference ng perfect competition sa monopolistic competition? Nakuha niyo na po? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's proceed to oligopoly. So after monopolistic, we have oligopoly. So in oligopoly, there are few large firms dominate an industry. So there is a leading in the industry. Few firms. Take note in oligopoly. So in monopolistic, there are large number of firms, but in oligopoly, there are few firms dominate an industry. So in terms of price making abilities, so there is a change in one firm's output has a significant impact on the market price. So same with perfect competition, there is the firms are priced. So opposite. In oligopoly, it is the firms are price makers. So they create their own price. Compared to pure or perfect competition, buyers are price makers. So here, you see, in perfect competition, firms are price taker. So the buyer may say, pwede bang gawin natin, pwede ba yung manok pwede ano na lang 100 pesos na lang, 1 kilo. So the firms will take the seller may take the price of the buyer. While in oligopoly, the firms are price maker. They set their own prices. Okay, so here in terms of type of product, in oligopoly, products can be identical or similar. For example, here is oil or in oil industry, or differentiated. So example of this, the brand of computer. So they have uniqueness in terms of their product offering. So firms will likely use advertising to try and differentiate their products from competitors. So here in oligopoly, there is high percentage of advertisement, or they are more of promotional. They exert more on promotion in order to show to the buyer that they are selling unique product or high level of product compared to their competitors. So they exert more effort on advertisement. At the same time, also at the same time in their research and development, they identify what they can offer to the market, or what they identify the needs of the market or the wants of the market. So they are trying to be unique. So though they are selling with the same similar uh, item, but they try to create a uniqueness on their product. Okay? Okay, may tanong? Okay, so in terms of entry barriers of oligopoly, there are significant barriers to entry. Okay, so in an oligopoly, it involves different industries. So these are in oligopoly, there are many also firms, but with the there are they are considered as dominating or they are considered as dominant businesses. So in oligopoly, they are involved in technology industry, media industries, example of this, automobile industry or pharma sector. So these are the examples of industries or businesses or firms that are involved in oligopoly. So they also selling similar products or identical products, but with differentiation. And they are big companies that dominating the market. So example of oligopoly are gas or okay, gasoline companies. So there are dominant companies that are distributing gas in different areas of the country. So it involves competition. It involves slightly competition in this industry. So if there's changes, they can set prices, and the buyers have no option but to buy gasoline, since gasoline is needed, especially in transportation. But every company can set their prices, diba? They can set their own prices. They can vary in terms of centavos. So you can check. You can check if you're go for traveling. You can see the prices of different. They offer similar but quite a difference in terms of pricing, but slight changes in terms of pricing. And then also in different in different in terms of what they call a car industry or automobile industry. So there are different companies who sell similar or identical products here, but they offer some uniqueness or differentiation on their product offering. And they can set also prices. So they create their own model, but can be competitive to the other product. Okay, so this is Suzuki, Honda, Toyota. So this is an example of oligopoly. So if you see the different model of different industries here, they sell quite similar products, but and with quite similar in terms of prices, but offer uniqueness in their product. So another example here. So there are different or dominant companies who have many products that offered to the market. So here, so if you see the Kraft, the Coca-Cola, the Pepsi company, so Mars, the Unilever, the Johnson and Johnson, Procter and Gamble. Okay, so and then the Nestle. So these are the example of companies that under market structure of oligopoly. Okay. And then the fourth market structure is the monopoly. Okay, in the monopoly market structure, in terms of number of firms, there is only one firm. There's only one firm in the industry. And in terms of price making abilities, the firm is the price maker. Same with oligopoly, the firm is the price maker. And in monopoly, the product is unique and no other firm makes anything like it. So they are the one who there's only one company or firm producing that kind of product. Compared to oligopoly, wherein there is limited a few dominant industry that are producing similar product but with uniqueness, or they are selling differentiated product. While in monopoly, they are selling or producing unique product. In terms of entry barriers of monopoly, so there is significant barrier to entry exit, so preventing new firms from entering and competing with the monopolist. So here in monopolistic, there is limited in terms of entrance and exit. That's why they are the one only producing that kind of product. So in monopoly, again, in terms of example of this in illustration, that there is just one supplier, there is no competition, and the monopolistic firm has a control over the price, and it is very hard to enter the market. It can be that it needs high capital. That's why there's a limited investors or market to enter in that kind of business. So example here is Meralco for sa Manila. Nagpo-provide ng electricity, or example here in Manila Water. So these are the example of monopoly type of market structure. So they don't have competition. They don't have competitors in this kind of market structure. Okay, so any question about the difference of the four market structures? Okay, just take note here. Oh. So here in the illustration again, you can identify here based on the illustration or in this picture wherein it measures the level of competition those businesses that have many, or there are many sellers, and or producing or selling same products. So there is considered as perfect competition because it is most competitive, wherein the seller is considered, or the firms are considered as price takers. So the buyer has a high level of purchasing power over the seller. And in monopolistic, so it is quite same, they produce or sell similar products. But there's competition also. Then it goes here, where in the monopoly, there is no competition because there it involves only one seller who produced the product. In oligopoly, so there is few dominant firms or seller who producing the product, wherein it is considered they produce similar product but with identity. Okay, so monopoly is, if you hear the monopoly is quite similar in terms of the word monopoly, monopolistic competition. So let's identify what is the difference between monopoly versus monopolistic competition. So here, if we base on the meaning, in monopoly, diba, monopoly is involves only one seller or producer and there's no competition. So here, based on the meaning, in monopoly, market created for a product who is offered by a single seller or no competition. So take note, monopoly, no competition. There's only one seller. While in monopolistic competition, any product being offered by a handful of sellers. So there are many sellers and affecting a small competition between them. So there is a monopolistic, there is competitors. There are there are more sellers who selling the same product compared to monopoly that there is no competition. Another difference between monopoly and monopolistic competition is in terms of players. In monopoly, there is only single player in the market, while in monopolistic competition, more than one, but small number in the market. In monopoly, there is no competition for the seller. In monopolistic, few players or sellers that exist, and there is minimal competition exists because of they offer also quite unique in their product, although not good enough for controlling the demographic, but then they do not have a, in terms of competition, they are the firm is considered as price takers also because they have a few competitors compared to monopoly that there is no competition. Okay, in terms of effect, monopoly, since it is a single player or single producer or seller and same single products, and its demand and supply, therefore, and the price are controlled by the seller, it is hardly any control by the buyer side. So the seller has a selling power. The seller has the power to demand or to increase the prices or to change the prices. While in monopolistic competition, due to small competition, there's some control from the buyer side or buyer front. So here, again, in monopoly, the buyer has no control, while in monopolistic, there is some control over the buyer. There's some control from the buyer in terms of pricing. Okay, then next we have in terms of the demand and supply. So in monopoly, the demand and supply depends on the seller. Although it may not be too biased on the seller side due to the nature of commodity. So more on the monopoly, it is they are producing or providing products that are important or essential to the buyer. And then in monopolistic competition, the demand and supply can be controlled. So here, since they have competition, they can increase or decrease the prices, and the demand and supply can be controlled. So in terms of entry and exit in monopoly, entry as well as exit is extremely difficult from such market. While in monopolistic, it is comparatively easier. So in terms of the price of the product in monopoly, since they are single seller, so the seller has the power to decide in terms of the price of their product. And it is hardly any control from the buyer front. So therefore, the buyer is forced to accept the seller's price. So whatever, example, in monopoly, electricity. So if the electricity, if the company of electricity company will increase their prices, the buyer has no option but to pay for the electricity that they consume. In monopolistic competition, the buyers may have the small controlling power on the price of such product. Okay, then in monopoly, the demand supply depends on the seller. Although it may not be too biased on the seller side. Okay, same. Okay, in terms of predictability of product, in monopoly, it is highly predictable as there are only one seller. While in monopolistic, it is very unpredictable. Okay, so here, these are the differentiation of monopoly versus monopolistic competition. So it is very different, the meaning or the characteristic of monopoly compared to monopolistic competition. So in terms of, okay, next is we have the significance or the important. Why is it market structure is important in economics? Okay, so the type of market structure that we have is we have the perfect competition, the monopolistic competition, the oligopoly, and the monopoly. So they are considered as important because in business operates, it will help determine the amount of market power or control the business owner will enjoy. So if your business is in the market structure of monopoly, so you greatly enjoy the power to increase. So you are considered as the price maker of your product. But if your product is or your business is in the perfect competition, you need to play with in terms of pricing with your competitors. And then, so greater market power means a greater ability to control prices. And differentiate the product once offers for sale. thus leading to opportunities for more profits. So because if you are lesser in market power, you there is control in terms of prices, but if you sell similar product, it might reduce the level of prices that leads to loss of the seller. But if you sells quite similar product, um, but with differentiation, so you might create a prices that leads to greater or more profits. That's why more businesses, though they are engaged in competition, still they are making exert more effort on their research and development, producing or introducing new product to the market in order to change the prices. At the same time, they have their own, they create their target market, or they're producing a product which is good for um, mass market, or wherein the product is not limited to the market, which their target is more profit. Therefore, the seller exert more effort on their market power. Okay, so that's the importance of, or the significance of, market structure. Okay. So any question?